I believe one of our greatest gifts as people is our curiosity. And for me, over the course of my life, I've realized for myself it's been my willingness to choose curiosity over fear that has helped me realize my power, my freedom, and the fact that I always have a choice to choose to be more of who I am, to choose to create more of what I really want to experience. Now, I believe also when it comes to learning to choose curiosity over fear leads to greater compassion over judgment. You know, it's curiosity that brought me to this place where I'm doing, well, public content creation, sharing it with others, and the willingness to volunteer to do public speaking events when in fact that has been truly one of my greatest, most intense fears in my life. But I keep following my curiosity to see what is waiting for me in these previously unknown and very intensely fearful directions, if you will. Now, I was born into a culture of origin where curiosity was not seen as an option. You know, it was purely judgments from the culture of my origin. And that frankly caused me so much pain in my life as I held on to those judgments and was on a constant state of self-evaluation based upon the things I was conditioned to judge myself by. But I was brought into a place in my life where I was in such despair, felt so much pain and suffering, that I started experimenting with allowing myself to follow my curiosity. You know, looking back in high school, it all started with, frankly, the curiosity to try mind-altering substances like marijuana that really helped to open up my mind, that helped me to experience a sense of relief from all my intense emotional pains. My symptoms were due to the fact of being a sensitive person, an empath, if you will, and witnessing my mom go through really intense, debilitating depression since I was born. I learned that pattern, I realized. And I learned, or at least I didn't have the chance to learn how to be comfortable being myself. And therefore, when my family immigrated to Western Canada and trying to fit into the school and the culture in Western society as an immigrant from a culture where there is no room for curiosity, the imagination, for anything creative or enlightening, it was very hard because I wasn't allowing myself to express myself or to actually choose who I am, but continuously trying to conform to the conditionings and the ideals that caused me so much separation and stuckness and emotional pain within myself. So, frankly, when curiosity led me to start experimenting with my friends, with my homies back in high school, it led to me finding medicine, in this case, plant medicine, spirit medicine, in the form of, cannabis, that helped to open up my mind and start seeing the greater beauty in art and creativity, even in pop culture. And then that eventually led me to become more and more curious about things. And I started to open up my mind. I started to, instead of watching just the mainstream pop culture, I started diving deeper. Now, there came the time when I was in my early 20s where I was in so much pain because I wasn't able to fit into the normality of society. I had tried antidepressants and going to psychologists and psychiatrists and was really challenged and even damaged by those experiences, having realized that it wasn't necessarily real compassion or a care or the willingness to really understand what I'm going through. That was very damaging for me. But luckily, I was gifted a book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Now, it did take me of a couple years of having the book in my space to have the curiosity to start flipping through it. And at first, reading the words, reading the sentences, did not really make sense. It took a long time for it to start sinking in. And back then, I didn't really enjoy reading. So I read really slowly, and I always started to fall asleep after a few pages. But, I was continuing to get more curious and kept exploring these new concepts about the pain body and how much our emotions are stuck in the past and how much suffering that creates by identifying with our pain bodies, and started experimenting, right? That curiosity kept opening up and led me to explore many different other teachers like Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay and Pema Chödrön, and eventually leading me to really influential works of speakers and philosophers like Alan Watts and Joseph Campbell, Terence McKenna, Ram Dass, for example. And that kept me going. It continued to open up my mind. I started to expose myself to other forms and different forms of creativity and of human expression. I started diving into documentaries of all different kinds that helped me to gain a wider perspective, helped me to feed my curiosities about what is really going on around me. What is all the real mechanisms that are at work that are creating and influencing all the choices that are being made around me, and all the choices that I was influenced to take. And over time, following my curiosity led me to try yoga. Through yoga practice, I found a space of peace, of stillness. At first, it was just a few moments at the end of a session, end of a practice in Shavasana. But then I became curious of how I could expand that space. And through really learning to take curious and different actions in all aspects of my life, my lifestyle, and the way I relate to myself and to others, helped me discover a new way of cultivating relationships and cultivating space. Because, when it comes to science is all driven by curiosity. We were curious at understanding the nature and the environment around us and how things worked, and the curiosity led us to create these, to create science and the sciences that helped us to gain a greater understanding and awareness of what this all really is, who we are, what our environment is made of, how our environment and we as people change over time, and the choices that lead to those changes. So science shows you now that we are all made of mostly space. So curiosity then helped me to have an understanding of what this means to be made of mostly spaces. And it's all about realizing the quality of space we hold for ourselves. And luckily, I invited curiosity into my life, and that space of curiosity helped me to explore other different points of views, those that are not just commonly accepted and the mainstream mass-produced rhetoric and propaganda, if you will. And I started discovering perspectives, teachings, wisdoms, ideas that was actually helped me to choose well-being, to choose balance, to choose to recognize that I am free. And I've always been free. But I chose to become a product of my environment. But as I allowed more curiosity into my awareness, into my consciousness, I started taking different actions and started experimenting with different ways of relating to life. And through that, really started to create a different relationship with myself. And through cultivating a different relationship with myself, then helped to bring into my life the outer reflections of that relationship, which was, I believe, our life. And throughout my 20s, I continued to follow my curiosity. And I spent a lot of it on my own so that I could allow myself my own curiosity. Because earlier in life, when I felt the need to conform or fit into my friends or to my culture or to those that look like me in Western society, I therefore was blocked or was held back. I held myself back from being curious or sharing new ideas due to fear of being judged as wrong by those that was not willing to allow their curiosity to open their minds. So I went on my own way and kept following my curiosity to choose differently. And over time, I started to learn how to heal myself in all ways, whether it's the physical, the emotional, the mental, or the spiritual, or the fifth element of our soul, of our true paths, and being willing to curiously walk towards it. Because for me, I believe our true path is one of new exploration and creativity. And the willingness to realize and discover the new, for me, the root of it is curiosity. So I realize curiosity has helped to free me from my suffering, from my self-hate, and the pain I experienced so intensely for so much of my life. So I will continue to be curious, because it's curiosity that has led me from coming from, a poor family from rural mainland China, born in the mid-'80s, right, that went through such intense challenges in high school and incurred so many aspects of mental illness. And I barely wanted to live in my early 20s. But as I healed myself and followed my curiosity, by the time I was in my late 20s, I was a new person. And curiosity then led me to get spiritual readings of various kinds that really started to open me up as I was offered things from the imagination, from spirit, of what this potential of being alive is truly about. And the fact that I'm here to help people heal, and the curious notion that I'm a teacher. Now, before that, I never dared thought that I would be a teacher to anyone or of anything, because I wasn't being normal. I was not going down the mainstream path. And I had a previous limiting concept that teachers is all about teaching you how to be part of the system. Because my culture of origin, so much of that is what it is. But I started to realize I've been willing to go my own way since my early 20s, from a place of deep suffering and pain, but that gave me the opportunity to spend so much time alone. And through that aloneness, I started befriending myself. I started to cultivate my curiosity, and my curiosities led me to so many new ways of looking at myself, relating to life, and taking action that really helped me to improve my life in all aspects. So when I started getting those readings, when I turned 30, back in 2014, and being told all these things, that I have a soul, it's curious that for most of my life, I didn't realize that I could have a soul because of my past experiences coming from a culture that didn't allow its people to have such an understanding of the holistic or the multidimensional or the eternal nature of oneself, of being human, being alive, being conscious with consciousness. So I followed that curiosity. Really? Is that true? Did I choose to go through so much suffering so that I can learn how to help myself and therefore support in others and helping themselves. And then in those readings, I was also told that I'm meant to be a communicator. And that was very curious to me because, like I have expressed, standing in front of anyone, in front of any kind of group of people was very intensely fearful for me for most of my life. But it's curious, at this point, I have volunteered to do, a few different public speaking events. And when I think about it, those have been some of the more powerfully inspiring, healing, and freeing experiences of my life. So I'm going to keep following my curiosity, because it's been following my curiosity that led me to the teachings, the wisdoms, the experiences that kept inspiring me to see myself differently. And as I took different actions and followed the greater expansion of my curiosity, now has led me to create such an amazing life for myself, especially this year in 2019, living in such a beautiful home, in an amazingly fulfilling and empowering relationship with myself, with my partner, with, so many people in my life. I've learned to really cultivate authentic, genuine, loving, mutually supportive, and empowering relationships. And now I am able to do work that is truly fulfilling. I work with clients and I actually get to help people. And I actually get to make a good living and really enjoy my life by doing that. And it's all thanks to the willingness to follow my curiosity. That's what, because it's about open-mindedness. And if you follow your curiosity and open up your mind, then your whole life can begin to unfold and open. Because it really is such a powerful gift, giving yourself the willingness to explore your curiosities. Because curiosity will help you realize that instead of just being afraid of things that you've been conditioned to be afraid of, maybe be curious about why you are afraid of those things and why it's so intense. Because it's been curiosity that led me to go on stage that first time, to really see just how scary it would be and what the effects were if I allowed myself to move towards and step through my greatest fear. And now it's becoming an exciting thing. Yes, there still brings me some anxiety when I think about having to go on stage again. But due to my past experiences of having followed my curiosity and the expansion and the healing, the freedom, the power I gained through the willingness to do that, continues to fuel my eagerness to keep following my curiosity, to see what else is possible for me. How else can I be my authentic self? How else can I support my world to realizing its own beauty, its own power to heal, to transform, to evolve? So I invite you to keep being curious about what else is possible. Can you create an amazing and joyful, abundant life by learning to do the things you truly care about, that you would truly love? I know by following my curiosity, I have found my way to a willingness to be present and the willingness to keep moving towards the unknown, even though it may very well feel frightening at times. But by continuing to follow my curiosity, I know I will continue to experience greater degrees of freedom and truth. Thank you, and follow your curiosity.